Let's listen to Reverend Sharpton in this short tape we have here.
And as for the one Mormon running for office, those that really believe in God will defeat him anyway. So don't worry about that. That's a temporary situation.
Yes, why did people laugh at your comment about the Mormons? I heard the chuckles there in the crowd.
In tonight's rewrite, another episode of the politics of religion. The president of the Mormon Church tells you what God is thinking. Mormons listen very carefully. So there is Mitt Romney's hero, Brigham Young, telling him if he has sex with a black woman, he will die on the spot. And this will always be so. Racism's grip on Mormon practice has been so strong during Mitt Romney's life.
I think that given the racist history of the Mormon Church for 150 years, the first 150 years of existence, it held all black people as accursed, the accursed seed of Cain, and that didn't change until he was over 30 years old. What he needs to do, I think, is to assure America that he does not maintain any residual feelings that black people are inferior, because that's what his religion taught. For 150 years, that black folks were accursed and therefore inferior to the unaccursed whites.
In that Book of Mormon, I mean, what I read, after they had dwindled in unbelief, they became a dark and loathsome and a filthy people full of idleness and the manner of abominations. I mean, that is heavy stuff.
Oh, and that's not all. They are,
I haven't read the Book of Mormon, but is there other stuff in there that...
Oh, yeah, there.
Interesting little fact is about the Mexican Romneys. Those looking back at all of those records say that Mitt Romney should look back at the records, because the Romneys that came back from Mexico to the United States, they crossed the border illegally. Mm.
They got two RCs, two Roman Catholics running, and a Mormon. So they're three cultists running. Then I got to pick one of the three cultists as they see them.
What does Mitt Romney think of his religion's founder, Joseph Smith, who's been described as a fraudster and a conjurer, well known to the authorities in upstate New York? What does Mitt Romney think about a religion that amasses archives of the dead and then retrospectively baptizes them into Mormonism, even if, in life, they belong to another faith? What does Mitt Romney think about Joseph Smith's assertion that Christ's return on the earth will be in the western boundaries of the state of Missouri? You see,
Mormonism was created by a guy in upstate New York in 1830. When he got caught having sex with the maid and explained to his wife that God told him to do it. 48 wives later, Joseph Smith's lifestyle was completely sanctified in the religion that he invented to go with it, which Mitt Romney says he believes.
David, for all his endless references to military personnel, was this not the same Mitt Romney who managed to dodge the draft during Vietnam and spent most of his time, I believe, in France as a Mormon missionary? And on Wednesday's broadcast, we brought you a spirited discussion about Mitt Romney's Mormon faith and one pastor's view that Mormonism is both theologically heretical and a cult. Today, we wanted to focus on what Mormonism says about lying, and which brings us to the moral codes of Mormonism that Mr. Romney claims to live by. Given what the Book of Mormon is clearly saying, Mr. Romney has but two choices. He can either keep lying and potentially win the White House, but bring eternal damnation upon himself, or he can start telling the truth. The question for him, I guess, is which is more important? Mitt Romney does not consume alcohol, which begs the question, will total abstention put his candidacy, perhaps even this great nation, in jeopardy? Do Republicans really want to start talking about religious influence on candidates? Do they really want us to start talking about Mitt Romney, who's part of a religious group that has been one of the most racially segregated in the history of this country? Until the late 1970s, African Americans, people of colour, couldn't be ordained. Does he really want us to start talking about his grandfather who had 5 wives, or his great-great-grandfather who had 12 wives and was a Mormon? Is that what they want to do?
I'm not a Mormon, but I do play one on TV.
Are you a Christian?
On Big Love, the HBO series that has been a real headache for Romney. Here's the problem. He dare not discuss his religion. And he fools people like Pat Buchanan, who should know better. This was the worst speech, the worst political speech of my lifetime, because this man stood there and said to you, "This is the faith of my fathers." And you and none of these commentators who like this speech realize that the faith of his father is a racist faith. As of 1978, it was an officially racist faith, and for political convenience, in 1978, it switched. And it said, okay, black people can be in this church. He believes, if he believes the faith of his fathers, that black people are black because in heaven they turned away from God. In this demented Scientology-like notion of what was going on in heaven before the creation of the earth.
Mormonism disqualifies him from being president of the United States.
I'm saying he's got to answer. When he was 30 years old and he firmly believed in the faith of his fathers that black people are inferior, when did he change his mind? Did the religion have to tell him to change his mind? And when he talks about the faith of his father, how about the faith of his great-grandfather who had 5 wives?
Well, look, my great-grandfather had slaves. And I don't believe in slavery.
And his religion is based on the work of a lying, fraudulent criminal named Joseph Smith, who was a racist, who was pro-slavery. His religion was completely pro-slavery.
My point is, this guy said his beliefs. He is living by the precepts of his faith. This is a good man. He is a courageous man in what he has said.
His religion believed in slavery.
I know it. But look, listen, the Christianity condones slavery.
You don't believe anything he believes, Pat. You don't believe any of it.
If somebody calls me a cultist, I may have a problem with their theology. But you're did you ever hear that phrase, what goes around comes around?
That's what
Well, they have not gone after him for being a Mormon.
They have not, but certainly other people have.